How you doing, everybody? This video has been a while in the making. I ordered an extension kit for my 3018 CNC to lengthen the Y-axis to make it more capable and able to do larger projects. So here's the assembly and testing. Now, going into this, I knew it would take a while to do. It was just a bunch of basically just reversing and then going forward, taking things apart and putting them back together in the reverse order. Just making sure to unplug everything, unscrewing the gantry. The lead screw was quite interesting to just, at first I was just hand loosening it to get the bed off, but I found a little trick later that worked much better, and it was kind of like a duh moment. But I hadn't used the machine in over a month, so there was a lot of just dust from using the machine and just overall from the shop. Now these aluminum extrusions that they provided, they're nice. They are very standard, and I've seen them in lots of different machines. Even my Creality Ender 3 3D printer has one of these. So they work well, but there's nothing special about them. They all use T-nuts to connect everything, and this lead screw was extremely dirty, the old one. The one that they provided was the same threading, same thickness, so that was very nice. It was made for this machine, or made for any of the standard 3018 Pros. This machine was very dirty and grimy. The dry lube I had used to keep everything fluid had gummed up a little bit with all of the dust, but taking everything apart and just really getting it nice and clean is helping everything to move better. I hadn't really given it a deep clean the whole time I had had it like this, because I had never wanted to take it apart to this degree unless I was going to upgrade it. Now, I did like the color on these new aluminum extrusions, and there's that dry lube I used by WD40. It's a dry lube with PTFE. It's the only thing I'd found so far that, even though it still gums up a little bit, it's not a wet adhesive or wet lube like just straight WD-40, so it works really well with this. It helps keep things from squeaking, which this machine squeaks like anything without any kind of lube. Now, I had made my own MDF spoil board for this. I could have bought one for $30 on Amazon, which the kit alone was $50 for the 3018 to 3040 extension. I could have bought the spoil board, but I had some half-inch MDF, so I just laminated two pieces together, and I cut them to 310 millimeters wide by 380 millimeters long. So the tricky part was just trying to get the orientation right, where the spoil board meets the rails and the lead screw, and then just drilling out all the holes for where the clamps are going to, and using 9/16 inch long T-nuts with 1/4 threads. I really had to hammer these ones in very hard to get them to seat flush. I didn't want anything poking out on the bottom, or it would interfere with it gliding over the aluminum extrusions. And then just screwing everything together. I was a little worried that when I pre-drilled the holes, I had drilled them too large, but it turns out it was just perfect. They had just enough MDF to bite onto when I had gotten them secured in. And for those of you that noticed, I had drilled 16 holes for the T-nuts, but I had missing one of them. I had lost it somewhere in the shop. I have no idea where it went at this point. I did find it later, though, so there is that. Now that I've gotten everything situated with the bed itself, I can reattach the gantry, putting the T-nuts back on. In hindsight, I could have left them off, but I thought it deserved a cleaning, so I just put it back on as it was. All right. And then I realized that in order to slide the gantry on, I needed to take off the front piece. Hindsight's 20/20, isn't it? And then this is me making sure that the bed and versus the gantry is situated to the right depth. I wanted to make sure I got the full distance, and then pretty much just securing it, and that was it. So as it was, I got 360 millimeters of cut depth to 300 millimeters wide, which is double the depth which it was before, 300 by 180. So these are 1/4 by 1.5 inch screws, and I'm reusing the original plates that the clamping mechanism had. So now I have 16 anchor points to secure my workpiece. So that was a nice thing. So this is just a scrap of oak veneered plywood that I had gotten as just a throwaway. Someone was throwing it away, and I thought I would do a test piece. Pulling up Easel Pro, I have just a simple little design of a bunny, just something that was already pulled up on my clip art, so I thought I would just give it a try, and purposely scaling it up to the larger size, pretty much covering the whole piece, just to kind of test it and assure myself that I'm able to cut something larger than 300 by 180. I believe this was 140 millimeters by 160 millimeter design. And just getting the bed in the new 0 point setup. Now, the alignment from the bed to the rails wasn't perfect. When the y-axis goes negative, it does rattle ever so slightly. That was one thing I'd noticed. I'm not sure if some dry lube would help. It might, or I might have to just tweak some of the things with the screw placement on the bottom where the bed meets the rails. Something to check out in the future. But just setting the home position. Moving the z-axis down till the tip of the bit touches. It originally was going to cut to 5 millimeters deep, which would have taken about 30 minutes. I had not planned on wanting to cut something that deeply just for this one test. I got the material sizing right, got the thickness at 12 millimeters. The bit size is that 1/8 inch bit that they used. And then going through the steps and setting the carve. Turning the speed down because this machine doesn't handle very fast speeds with the spindle as is. Now, enjoy a quick 1-minute time lapse. One thing I noticed as this was cutting was the material thickness wasn't completely uniform, because as you see on the right side of the bunny, it was cutting, it didn't plunge all the way down. So I believe the material was thinner towards that right side, which overall didn't really matter with this test. It was just to ensure the accuracy of the cut, if anything was misaligned, or if the axes needed to be recalibrated, which in the end, it turned out very nicely. The one gripe I have with the end mill that I was using was it was neither up nor down cut, just a corn style bit, if you can call it that. I'd gotten it off of Amazon for about $10 for a set of 10. So I guess you get what you pay for, but it works in the end. But the cut did come out very accurately. The shape was not skewed or anything. Overall, I would call this a success, and I would upgrade this machine for $50 at this rate. Took an hour to put together, and you can more than double your cut space for that price. Thank you, guys.